Welcome to more World of Warplanes content from the Noble Q, and in this video I'm going to look at the rare Tier 5 Soviet light fighter, the Ilyushin I-21. Hello there, and here we have on the tarmac outside the hangar, note, not my hangar, is the rare Ilyushin I-21. And I have the interface on at this point in the video, which I don't normally, because I would like you to cast your eyes to the top left corner and note that the account is the Noble Q_PA. This is not my account. PA stands for press account, and the World of Warplanes team has kindly given me access to this account for the purposes of illustrating things in the game as quickly as possible to you, and I'm very grateful to the World of Warplanes team. I want to make it clear, I do not have this aircraft. I do not believe that you will ever be able to obtain this aircraft, but this video is going to show you what this very rare bird is all about, and I hope you'll enjoy it. The Ilyushin I-21 was a single-engined, single-seat fighter designed in 1936-1937, which never went into production. There were two prototypes, only one of which flew. The first one had the evaporative cooling system, partially in the wings, rather like the HE-100D-1 that I reviewed recently. This was found to be inadequate for cooling the engine and indeed the aircraft. The second prototype was fitted with a conventional cooling system, but never flew. And of course, therefore, this aircraft never reached production. Within the game, well, wait and see. I'll show you all about this aircraft in a moment. What we'll do first is take a look at the numbers. If you don't want to look at a spreadsheet, use a link below the video to skip ahead to another part of it. Here we are with the spreadsheet showing all of the Tier 5 fighters. The I-21 is in column C and D. If you don't know how this spreadsheet works, there's a link in the description below to an instructional video. Please go and have a look at that and then you'll know what's going on here. Gun armament. Well, at first blush, it doesn't look like great news. The rating is only 7. The cumulative DPS is 130. And if we look at the worst in class figures, we can see immediately that this respectively is second and third worst in class. However, there's more than meets the eye here. The aircraft is equipped with a pair of 20mm chevron cannons. I've mispronounced that, I'm sure. DPS of 65 and rate of fire 360. Nothing exceptional here. But then the range is excellent at 1969 feet. And then we look at the auto-aim angle. 4 degrees is a lot for cannons. This is a terrific auto-aim angle. That's the amount you can be off target by when an aircraft is banking away from you perhaps, and the game will correct your aim and allow you to hit that aircraft. Dispersion angle is similarly terrific at 0.4. This is one of the lowest values I can think of on a non-sniper cannon in the game. And dispersion angle is the way that the shells spread out as they leave the muzzle of the cannon. These are excellent figures and they're going to improve the reliability of these guns for doing damage immensely. The overheat time is a reasonable 6 seconds as well, and I found that I was able to pump out plenty of shots to take down almost anything in one pass, bar bombers and heavies. Shell velocity is pretty good at 1168, which means you'll have to lead less, and generally that's easier for people when they have to lead less. It allows them to hit aircraft more easily. Survivability is not great. The rating is 5. It is third best in class, but these figures are compressed. That's also going to be a worst in class figure of some description. 200 hit points, survivability of 45, but unlike many Russian fighters, we have a really good fire resistance figure of 60. That's going to allow you to mount a first aid dressing kit. Speed. This is a very good feature of the aircraft. The rating is 49, second best in class. More on that in a moment though. Cruise speed is best in class at 273. Boost maximum speed is 404, second best in class. This is a fast aircraft. Boost duration is in the middle at around about 8 seconds. There will be aircraft with more, a few, 10 seconds. There'll be plenty of aircraft, the term fighters, with 6 seconds. And the dive speed is excellent at 497. Now, the I-21 is an excessively rare aircraft, but the aircraft that actually performs better than it in terms of airspeed itself is not very often seen, and that's the ME-209 version 4. And I will say immediately, although this aircraft may trump it in some ways just on speed, that aircraft is far less manoeuvrable, as you're about to see. The manoeuvrability on this plane is excellent for a high-energy fighter or a fast fighter. Its rating of 73. Turn It's 9.8 seconds for a full circle. Excellent roll rate of 140. Minimum optimum speed is a little bit higher, 137, but then as a high energy fighter intended to be kept fast, you would expect that anyway. The maximum optimum speed is 355. You've got a very healthy range of 218 miles an hour in which your maneuverability characteristics and your speed characteristics will not degrade, making the aircraft very easy to fly. And stall speed is 87. If we just look at some of the other high energy fighters, base figures, it's better than the Bf-109E, and I would have regarded the Bf-109E as this plane's major competitor in the skies. It's better than the MiG-3, it's better than the P-40. This aircraft is going to be a real nuisance for those high energy fighters. The HE-100D-1 is slightly more manoeuvrable, and of course you may see a few more of those in the game because of the recent event. But broadly, in terms of an airframe, these two aircraft are surprisingly similar. Altitude performance, again, very good. Third best in class rating of 46, second best in class figures here. The climb rate is 428, second best in class, even better than the HE-100D-1. Again, this aircraft is going to be able to perform adequately at all sorts of heights, and in fact, in practice, I was having no trouble getting up to bombers that were trying to fly at 7,000–8,000 feet and shooting them down. As far as the power to weight ratios are concerned, these are calculated by me, mass versus power. We don't know how drag is implemented in the game, so it's not a foolproof method of assessing acceleration, but generally good figures here will tend to suggest that the aircraft will pick up speed quickly. And it's good news. We have a rating of 0.44 kilowatts per kilogram, second best in class. The American method of saying how much weight would you have to take off the aircraft to get an horsepower back, it's 3.75 pounds. And the only aircraft that surpasses it in this comparison is that very rare ME-209V version 4. Just go down into the worst in class figures. There's not a great deal more to be seen. The survivability figure 45, well, it's a fighter. You'd want to avoid taking damage anyway. Boost duration we needn't worry about because the 8 seconds is in the middle of the class. There's that minimum optimum speed that I mentioned being quite high, but as this is a high energy fighter in my opinion, that's not a problem. Now for me, this airframe suggests that one should go down the high energy route, that is, do a speed build. However, there is definitely an alternative. With really good equipment and a good pilot, you could possibly do a maneuverability build. I'm going to save that for another video later in the year. We're going to concentrate on the speed build here. So straight away, let's go and see how I've set the aircraft up. Here we are on the tarmac with the I-21 again. My aircraft is specialised, and to a degree it's a moot point me showing you what you would be missing when you first get this aircraft, because you're not going to get this aircraft, and neither am I. But it was interesting, dropping it into stock and then looking at service. None of those slots were locked. Now, I suppose that could be a feature of the press account, but I doubt it. Anyway, let's go and see what I actually did with it. So we'll pop it back into Specialist. And here we go. Cockpit slot, we've put the gun sight, not surprising there, improving the accuracy of what is already a set of very accurate guns. And I opted with my bonus characteristics to increase the chance of causing criticals by 15%. That's two of the characteristics there in orange. And I increased the chance of causing a fire by 10%. I tend to do that with low DPS guns. Works well. If you can cripple an enemy or set him on fire, so much the better. And then we really went for a speed build. We have 4 slots here. Now, this is unusual for a Tier 5 aircraft. You've normally got a total of 4 equipment slots, and here I have 4 on the airframe and engine alone. So it's a unique feature, as far as I know, of this aircraft to have so many equipment slots. I put the lightweight wing frame in to compensate for some of the adverse effects of a speed build, and I picked off some characteristics. I decided to increase the resistance to damage of the wings, the cruise speed, and the yaw manoeuvrability. I didn't really go all out on those. I could have gone for roll manoeuvrability, and if I was reassembling this equipment, I probably would select that and drop the resistance to critical damage for the wings. And I might even go for the extra 2% roll manoeuvrability, the bottom characteristic there, and drop the cruise speed improvement. We've got plenty of other kit improving the speed. We don't need this one necessarily. Nonetheless, that's what I did with the lightweight wing frame. Polished skin. If we bring up the characteristics, we can see that I've gone for acceleration whilst diving twice, plus 1% yaw manoeuvrability. The other bonus characteristics are all worth having. However, I decided to employ vertical fighting in this aircraft, so I decided to enhance its ability to dive quickly, accelerate into a dive quickly. And then we have the boost mixture injection system. And my familiar set of characteristics here, I've improved the engine cooldown rate by 15% across 2 bonus characteristics there, and improved the boost availability because there's a negative effect on boost availability with the bonus characteristic of 5% there as well. I'm not very interested in the other 3 bonus characteristics. However, they all affect either speed or acceleration. You might consider them if you're really trying to wring the last ounce of speed and acceleration out of this plane. And I went for the uprated engine because the survivability figure, let's just remind ourselves, base is 60, and as you can see, even with mounting an uprated engine, it's only come down to 51. Very healthy. And as far as bonus characteristics are concerned, there's a bonus characteristic which allows you to resist fire 10%. Because the adverse effect of this equipment is increasing the chance of fire, that's a good one to choose. And then I picked off another 5% engine cooldown rate to try and make sure that I've got boost coming back as quickly as possible, therefore be able to make this aircraft as quick as possible at all times. And then I put another maximum speed with boost activated of a 0.5% there. There is an acceleration figure there, there's a 1% cruise speed there and a 0.5% cruise speed there. Again, if you're trying to wring the best acceleration and speed out of this aircraft, you might go for those characteristics instead. Because of the high survivability resistance to fire figure, I've been able to mount the first aid dressing package. Pneumatic control assist for a tight spot fighting BF-109Es, I would suggest. Probably not the Japanese or turn fighters or the Yaks or the Spitfires. You want to dive on those. If my control surfaces are damaged, I put on the pneumatic control assist. Your alternatives here are increased fire resistance, and that would be a good thing to choose on many aircraft, certainly many Russian aircraft. It's not necessary here. I ummed and ahed about putting on engine cooling. I was worried about losing my engine on an aircraft that needs to be kept fast, so I initially opted for a restart bottle. I found that I wasn't losing my engine very often. I was able to get away from things mostly without having my engine shot out. So I then put the engine cooling back on. This gives me 10 extra seconds of boost, provided I have some available, and that allows me to hunt down heavies and bombers with great ease. I put universal ammunition on the aircraft because this is the press account. I'm not trying to get rid of gold as I am on my current personal account, but if I were going to go for gold, these are 20mm cannons, I would pick the fragmentation ammunition. Okay, so that's how I set the aircraft up, purely for speed. Let's talk about pilot skills. So I've brought up the pilot dialog box, and I was naughty here. I had a lot of free experience on the account. I don't anymore because I used 7.6 and more million free experience to add 14 skill points to this pilot who had 1 skill point already. So this is a 15 skill point pilot. So what did I do with this? Well, I went for a very standard layout. I didn't go for any of the specialist skills down here. I decided to go for everything that improves speed, maneuverability and accuracy. So there we have aerodynamics expert, aerobatics expert, both engine gurus, both marksman ones. That left me with 1 skill point. I decided that it was probably useful to be able to see enemy aircraft earlier, so I put on eagle-eyed. Alternatives would have been cruise flight. If you build this for maneuverability, I guess you would probably look for evasive target instead and probably drop one of these two here, either marksman 2, very accurate guns, probably marksman 2 I'd suggest, or just possibly engine guru 2. Not my preference. But this is a very strong pilot for this aircraft. Right. I think it's time to see what the effects of my choices are. Here we have another spreadsheet, and in column C and D we have the base figures for the I-21, and then we have the effects listed here in columns E and F of my choices of crew skills, equipment, bonus characteristics. Calibration is something I didn't do a lot of, and there's no camouflage on this aircraft, or livery if you prefer producing an effect. So these figures are indicative. If I had fully calibrated the equipment, they would be different and better in some cases with some more adverse effects, but this is what's happened. The guns are very accurate. But we've got an improvement even so on the auto aim angle. It's now a tremendous 4.4 degrees. You can be 4.4 degrees off target and still hit it. And the dispersion angle has come down to 0.3. or just a smidgen above, which is also terrific. These are highly accurate guns, so most of your shells will land and hit the target, which in effect increases the DPS of the guns. Didn't change the rating, so it remains at 7 and the DPS remains at 130, but that's a good start. We've got some adverse effects on survivability. We've gone down by a point. The hit points have come down by just about 10. And we've also lost a little bit of fire resistance. The game says 51. I calculated out at 52. I didn't find that this was an issue. It's regrettable, but it's not something that's going to cripple the aircraft. Now, with a speed build, you would expect a fairly healthy effect. We've gone up to a rating of 53 from 49. That's an 8.2% increase. We've got a very good increase of 52 miles an hour on the cruise speed. This aircraft will fly through the air and get to sectors very quickly. We've got a very good increase of nearly 33 miles an hour on the maximum boost speed as well. So this aircraft is going to pick up and fly very quickly under boost as well. And I can tell you that the acceleration, without feeling stellar, did feel very good. And what this meant was that I could use the tactic of standing the aircraft on its tail, going up vertically to evade pursuing aircraft. Now, there are some way you might think twice about doing that. The P-40, maybe the Bf-109E3. But for instance, a Spitfire or a Term Fighter, one of the Russian ones, one of the Japanese ones, yeah, you simply go straight up in the air, wait for them to stall out, and either fly off and select another target, which is a perfectly valid decision, or if they're engaged and busy, come back down on them and shoot them in a dive. And remember, I improved the dive characteristic of this aircraft. You can't see that in terms of speed because you can't improve the dive speed, but the acceleration of the dive was improved. So we lost a little bit of boost. I was prepared to accept that in order to get the extra speed under boost. Even manoeuvrability went up, despite this being a speed build. Rating has gone up by 1 point to 74. We've managed to reduce the turn time to 9.5 seconds effectively, and we've also increased what is already a very good roll rate to 162. So the aircraft is going to really manoeuvre pretty well, despite having built it for speed. And we had a significant improvement on the climb rate, 34 feet per second as well. If we look at some of the other characteristics that aren't listed here, because they have no effect on UI figures. As mentioned previously, we've got to increase the chance of fire by 10%. There's a small error here. There's actually 15% extra chance of criticals. Survivability, we've got wing resistance damage has gone down by 4 points. Wings resistance to damage has gone down by 4.5%, and the pilot's injury resistance has gone down by 12% as well. Airspeed, we've got a 20% cooldown rate, which means that the boost comes back very quickly, and it did feel like I was never short of boost for this aircraft. Acceleration, 14.1%, both with or without boost, and let's just correct that. And then we've got 11.5% acceleration and dive. It comes down swiftly, and this is really good because it means that people have less time if they're below you to spot that you're about to attack them from above. And we also managed to increase the yaw maneuverability by 1.6%. And all in all, I think this made this a very strong high-energy fighter indeed. So let's go and see how it performed in battle. The map for the forthcoming battle is Archipelago. Doesn't feature much in my replay videos, I realise. Reconnaissance by fire variant. It's a 5-sector map. Their sectors are laid out roughly in the pattern of 5 spots of a die, but they're shoved to one side or skewed, as you can see here. And the be-all and end-all of this map is the mining plant in the centre. Tactically, that's the sector that gives you easy access to all the other ones. Strategically, it gives you 80 additional resources or influence points every 2 minutes. And if you do not possess this sector, you will find it very hard to win this battle, even if you manage to possess all the other 4 sectors. The other 4 sectors, on one axis we have forward airstrips. These are not centrally placed, so being able to spawn there is of limited value. And on the other axis, there are garrisons, which are the make-weight sectors in this map. Tactically and strategically, it's all about that mining plant. Take and hold that for longer than the enemy, and even if the enemy manages to hold on to as many as 3 of the other sectors, you will still probably win. We take a look at the order of battle. I'm top tier in my I-21. I have an A6M20 for company at tier 5, a PE2 bomber, Russian bomber, a heavy, an SE100. And then we have two Tier 4s, an A6M10 and another bomber, Heinkel 11H2. The enemy has one fewer Tier 5s. They have a Yak 7, which could snipe you out of the air at great distance without you ever knowing it was around. Here's an aircraft I want to keep a special eye on, the Bf-109E. Strong competitor for this aircraft. Perhaps slightly less so, but still worth watching out for. The MiG-3 here. And then the enemy has three Tier 4s, an I-17, a Bf-110B, and an AR-2 bomber. Now, having played the I-21, I could say straight away I thought we had a significant advantage here. Let's go and see how the battle worked out. As we enter battle, let me mention that this is a natively recorded replay file. It's not one of the World of Warplanes team's replay files. The reticle will be accurately aimed. You'll see me looking around and going into sniper mode. The video may seem a little bit more jerky. So, as the mining plant is the most important sector, and I have altitude performance in this aircraft, I'm going there first. And as we enter the sector, I can see that I'm going to be there first by a long distance. So I'll be targeted by the AA. I need to weave about and try and avoid being hit by it. Now we'll be looking for bombers and heavies up here. Often the heavies make what I think is a mistake of going low into the plant to use their ordnance first. That exposes them to the multi-rolls and the fighters that may go there. If you find that the multi-rolls and fighters haven't gone to this plant, it's a good tactic. So the moral of the story there is, if you're in a heavy fighter, read the mini-map and adjust your plans accordingly. So we see my first bomber. Immediately speed up to go after it. Long-range cannons, engage at 1900 feet if I want to. I'd actually got to about 1600 feet before I began shooting this. Got a little bit close. Separate. The bot manages to turn in exactly the way that is most inconvenient for me, because bots do, and then it blows up. So I wasted a little bit of time there, looking around to see what other threats are here. They're all down below me, so I can employ the diving tactic. Let's get the multi-roll, the fighter out first. You can see in a diving attack, those guns are plenty good enough to be able to finish off certainly a half-health fighter. But they're plenty good enough to take on these ground attackers as well. Okay, you won't kill them in first pass, but you will do them significant damage, and second pass will probably do. Find the Yak 7 and blow that up. Come back to take on the ground attacker that had previously damaged. And as you can see, these may be 130 DPS guns, but because of that accuracy, a lot of your shots are landing. Killed that. We've taken the sector. The heavy happens to be coming in at that time. I avoid. He's not going to get away from me. This aircraft is faster than he is. Down he goes. Looking around, I can see that there's probably a bomber up in the sky about to come back into the plant. That'd be a good thing to head for. Just keeping an eye on things, trying to recoup a little bit of boost. See the bomber. Have a look at the MiG below me. Decide that the bomber is still the first and primary target for me. Lots of good shots into that. Critical damage being done. Remember, I've enhanced that. Here's the wing. Here's the other wing, and down goes the bomber. But look at the order of battle. Let's go and see if we can take out the MiG. Now, he's half health again, so provided I get this attack vector correct, he should be easy to kill. And he blows up. Now, the enemy have managed to take 3 sectors here, so it's a pretty balanced game. In comes the heavy again, looking for me. I employ the same tactic of avoiding, and basically now he can't use his speed to escape because I'm going to catch him up. I mean, Italy is a tier 4, and I'm a tier 5, you would expect me to be able to catch up. That's the first instance I found of the guns overheating. But there you go, down he goes. So 6 seconds, I think it's adequate. If it was 8 seconds, it'd probably be too much, frankly. There's lots of red aircraft in. I'm down low, so I'm going to go after the ground attackers. I need to pull up here. Those bombs could have a large bomb radius. Keep an eye on the fighter. Heavily damaged ground attack to finish off here. The Junkers 87, that goes down. shoot through the smoke at the Bisha 2. I've got to be a little bit careful here. I'm aware of a threat behind me. However, there are no bullets coming my way, so I've decided to finish off the ground attacker. And my team has actually disposed of the threats. And here's the BF-109E. This is the first time I've seen him. Key aircraft as far as I'm concerned. One I want to get out. And 6 seconds. We were on the verge of overheating there, but only on the verge. There was enough in the guns to be able to take out the BF-109. And then I can take the yak that was pointing away from me. So we're doing a very good job of holding this plant. See the Hurricane coming towards me. It's badly damaged. Some good adjustments on the shooting there. Those are often quite difficult shots to land and kill the Hurricane. We spot the bomber. And even without boost, I'm still fast enough to very quickly catch up with it and start shooting at it. Let's get a little bit close for the wing-mounted guns here. I'll slow down, so I can still shoot the aircraft. And we have a bomber in orbit. And this is actually a game where I have a restart bottle fitted, so I wasn't able to use boost to get up to him. And even without having the boost, I was still able to climb very rapidly and get up to this bomber that was flying high in the sky. So we're very nearly at Winged Legend already. Having a good look around on the minimap to assess what threats there are and what I want to prioritise. As most of the other aircraft were flying out of the sector, I decided to prioritise the Junkers. Danger of losing this plant. Speed up. Shoot at the ground attacker as I go by, but I've seen in the distance there are other things that I need to take care of. And here's an interesting moment. Heavy and multi-roll. Catching them up like the clappers. The multi-roll comes into range first. Isn't really paying attention, rolling around for no good reason at all, which made it a very easy kill because he then wasn't able to get into a manoeuvring posture. Engine's taken out by the heavy. Put down the BF-109, put the engine back in. Now we're going to chase the heavy, and we're hitting him at 1900 feet. Takes out the pilot, I heal him. And he takes out the pilot instantly again. That, in my opinion, should not happen. This is an example of the criticals having turned up to absurd levels in the game, and your skill being taken away from you by criticals being done. And I find that frustrating. And we have lost the plant because I chased his aircraft down. However, I think killing 3 aircraft was worthwhile. Pilot comes back in. Said about the air defence aircraft here. This is giving me capture points, of course, which will help me. I've aided in the capture of the sector. Avoid the Hurricane because it's got good guns. I can easily outmaneuver it. And I've got long-range weaponry. It's an easy kill. Just looking to see what I need for the final chevron. I decide to ignore the yak, which is a little bit dangerous given it's got long-range weaponry. Now going towards the plant again. Looking for capture points. Could go for the bomber. I-17 is on low health. Relatively low energy configuration for me. Can't really see him through the smoke, but I get the shots right anyway, and I destroy him. That was exactly what I needed to bring up the chevron for a 5 chevron battle, and we have very nearly 19,000 personal points and quite a few medals over there. Pretty good game. Let's take a look at the outcome of this battle, and as we can see from the centre, it's a 5 chevron battle, or a grade 1 fighter. That grossed 174,837 credits. If we look at expenses, we can see that there were 24,000 credits worth of expenses. This was not a battle with prepaid consumables. No repair expenses, I didn't lose the aircraft. 4,245 experience. There are boosters running. The base is 1,698. Premium account bonus 849, then boosters and other bonuses making up the rest. Boosters have also affected the free experience. The base is 169, premium account bonus 42, and then 636 coming from those boosters. One token, first medal of the day, a McCampbell medal. But as we can see, there's a Marseille, an Akamatsu, a Winged Legend, and a Hero of the Sky award as well. Go to the personal score tab, we can see that 2 of the class-specific missions were completed. The one for destroying when defending was 4/5 complete. This gave me enough points for the 5 chevrons. That amassed 18,740 personal points, 3 sectors were captured, 18 aerial targets destroyed, 5,009 damage to aerial targets with 34 critical hits coming off those cannons. Wow. Didn't lose the aircraft. Capture points 560, that was split 280 for defending and 280 for attacking. On the team score tab, we can see that would have been enough for first place, both by chevrons and personal points on both teams. Good effort here from the SE-100. Bomber was effective as well on my team. On the enemy team, slightly lower scores, but then they were up against it. The BF-110B really tried hard, but this was a good battle to win. That brings me to the end of the review section for the Ilyushin I-21. And it's a strong plane. I can only imagine what it was capable of doing before it was nerfed. I fought 9 battles in this aircraft. I won 8 of them. Half of them I approached 20,000 personal points. Only once did I dip below 10,000 personal points. The World of Warplanes team has no plans to release this aircraft, so you and I won't be getting it in our hangars anytime soon, and maybe that's a good thing. Well, I hope you found that interesting, and that if you did, you'll come and see my future content. Stick around, there's a bonus battle for you to enjoy, unnarrated. But for now, I'm going to leave you. This is the Noble Q, signing out.